I was promoted and became my husband's superior. At a work-related social event, I joked about his quirks in front of our coworkers. Upon arriving home, he became angry. I thought he was just being moody and jealous, but even my sister says I crossed a serious line. I am 38, and about a month ago, I was promoted to a higher position at my job. I am now in a more senior position than my husband, for at work. My husband has always told me how happy he was that I got the promotion. But sometimes I get the feeling that he's embarrassed that I'm technically his superior now. Last night, we had a work-related social event. It was supposed to be an opportunity to build team cohesion and that sort of thing. My husband didn't really want to go. He's pretty introverted. He also said he had a migraine and didn't want to make it worse. I told him that it would be weird if he didn't come, and people might think that he's jealous of me getting the promotion. After some more persuasion, I was able to convince him to come along. When we got there, he greeted a few people, but ended up spending most of the time sitting in a corner on his own, and only chatting with a few people at a time. Aside from that, the event was pretty good, and most of our coworkers were present. At some point, I was in a large group when Sarah, 46 or 47, who had not yet seen my husband there, asked where he was and jokingly asked if he was as serious and mysterious at home as he was at work. I told them he was the complete opposite at home. I said that while at work he seems organized, at home he's a bit of a slob. I joked about how he always leaves his laundry all over the floor, and I mentioned things like how he complains too much about random trivial things like the neighbor's kids sometimes playing on our lawn. I also mentioned how he has a fear of heights and how he was shaking the entire time when we crossed a rope bridge during our honeymoon. I did say a few other things like how I sometimes feel like I'm his parent. Everyone was interested and surprised to hear all of this, and we did share many laughs together. At some point, my husband walked into the conversation and quickly pieced together what we were talking about. The rest of the conversation was awkward after that. On the drive home, my husband was not speaking. When I asked him if everything was all right, he said that I surprised him. I was annoyed by him being vague, so I told him that I knew that he wasn't feeling 100%, but that he was acting childish for not socializing and acting offended. He said that it was childish and rude that I was sharing his personal details with our colleagues. I then told him that he was blowing things out of proportion, but he didn't respond, and the rest of the ride was silent. When we got home, we argued again about the night's events. My husband said my behavior was appalling and that he questioned if I had any respect for him. I was angry by his outburst, so I told him that he was only being sensitive because I was technically his superior now, and that what was really bothering him. The argument ended there, as my husband didn't want to waste any more time and went to bed. This morning, I texted my younger sister what happened, and she accused me of being insensitive. Best comments: OP, answer a couple of questions. From your description, I don't see your husband being jealous of you. Instead, it appears that you might harbor a hidden sense of superiority due to your higher position. You might not be willing to admit it, but it seems like you're doing your best to subtly belittle him in various situations and in front of others to highlight your own status. It's hard to say it all in one post, but I do get the feeling he's uncomfortable with me being in a higher position than him. Since getting the promotion, I've noticed that he seems to insist more often to pay for things, like when we go out to eat, etc., more often. Also, he's been complimenting my cooking a lot lately, which I have interpreted as his way of trying to re-establish what he thinks are traditional roles in our household. You basically outed yourself this entire post from admitting your husband is an introvert and then pointedly sharing embarrassing stories about him to actively gaslighting and getting angry with him when it sounds like he was being completely reasonable in his complaints. I recommend therapy. Not couples therapy, by the way. Jesus OP, seems like you have a lot you need to fix at both work and home with this one. By introverted, I meant he doesn't really like social events with large gatherings. Aside from that, he's usually more social. People like him because one-on-one, or in a small group, he's very friendly and funny. It's bad enough that you mocked him and shared personal information about him to your work colleagues, but even worse that you mocked and shared personal information about him to his work colleagues. And you mocked and ridiculed one of your subordinates. Your behavior was completely unprofessional and disrespectful toward your marriage. I hope he complains to HR about you discussing private information and you get demoted. Followed by divorce. You have demonstrated you cannot handle the senior position job you were promoted to. Cringe all the way around. I feel very badly for your poor husband. And the icing on the cake is when husband stands up for himself. Careful not to do it during the event, mind you, which is more courtesy than she deserves. She completely dismisses his completely accurate assessment of what went down because you're just jealous I'm superior to you. Husband had exactly the reaction you would expect. If this is your conclusion, then there is no more to say, and it's an absolute waste of time to try to make her see just how little respect she is showing for him. OP doesn't give two shits how her husband feels about anything. She's the main character, and he is merely a plaything to bring with her when she feels like it and mock to make herself feel important. Update number 1. 6 days after the first post. I'll start this post off firstly by saying I was completely in the wrong. There are zero excuses for how I treated my husband that night at the work social. He is, without a doubt, the personification of a perfect husband. Honestly, at times, I find myself wondering if he's too good for me. He's the kindest person I know. He's incredibly supportive of me in every way. He's funny. He's very intelligent, easy to talk to, and yes, he's also very good-looking. I feel heartbroken about the things I said, especially about the fear of heights thing. My husband only bothered overcoming it and crossing that rope bridge for my sake after all. After reading the comments I received and doing extensive self-reflection, I profusely apologized to my husband, and I told him that I do love and respect him. I apologized not only for the things I said that night, but also for my general behavior since I got my promotion and my accusations of him being jealous. Being him, he accepted my apology immediately and even said that he had already forgiven me because he considered my actions to be a mistake rather than intentional. He then actually apologized as well because he thought that he had spoken out of anger and escalated the situation when we got home. Since then, I've been trying my best to be worthy of him. He told me that we should let the whole thing be in the past, but I think I always cringe when I think back to that night and the time leading up to it. Things at work have also been pretty smooth. My husband doesn't mind going in and chatting with our colleagues. Yesterday, he, in fact, expanded on the rope bridge story with one of our colleagues, so I think he's comfortable. Now, I'm really just hoping now that I can be as good a spouse as he is. Best comments. I'm kinda speechless at the amount of grace your husband has. But don't assume he's not still deeply wounded. Some things can't be taken back. He's truly an amazing guy who I'm incredibly lucky to have.